there, WOLT chums. Before we get started with this episode, we wanted to add a little bit of a disclaimer. On this episode, we will be discussing non-hunger-based eating, but not specifically disordered eating patterns. If you feel like you might have a serious issue with eating disorder, please go ahead and maybe skip this episode and head over to the National Eating Disorders Association to get help. You can find them at nationaleatingdisorders.org, and Donald will also put that link in the show notes. So without any further ado, enjoy this episode.
Hello, and welcome to another Bruce the Shark from Finding Nemo episode of We Only Look Thin. I am one of your hosts. I am Donald Weigel, and I have lost about 100 pounds. I've kept it off for roughly 6 years, and I am here to talk about it along with my wife and partner, who is
Catherine Weigel, and I know that fish are friends, not food. And
right.
I have lost over 120 pounds and kept it off for about 6 years. I am a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach, and I, too, am hungry like the wolf.
Okay, all right.
Our episode is called Hungry Like the WOLT.
Yes, I know.
So it's like Duran Duran.
You are also hungry like the wolf, yes.
So why are you looking at me like...
We were talking about Finding Nemo and fish, and then just sort of
but Hungry Like the Wolf. Wait, no, I was thinking of the Duran Duran Rio video where they're on the water.
Yeah.
I was like water based, but I don't remember the Hungry Like the Wolf video.
I used to love, back in the actual 80s, I loved Duran Duran, and it was like you were considered uncool as a guy if you liked Duran Duran back then, but it really it was something I could talk to girls about.
Ah, so nice. They named them twice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually, the origin of Duran Duran.
Yeah, it's that Jane Fonda movie.
Yeah, that was troubling. I watched that movie.
Why can't I think of it? Barbarella.
Barbarella.
Yeah.
I saw that movie when I was 6.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not good.
Again, poor boundaries. My parents were just like, you're just going to see dolls with sharp teeth trying to bite Jane Fonda.
I think I was... Oh, dolls with... trying to bite Jane Fonda. That's right.
That terrified me.
Which sometimes I feel like one of those dolls, except I'm trying to bite a sandwich.
That is very relatable.
Yeah.
But I don't want to step on your Finding Nemo riff.
Yeah, so
where were you going with Finding Nemo?
For those who don't know, Bruce the Shark is a character in Finding Nemo, and he is trying to reform, and he has to constantly remind himself that he's not a mindless eating machine. And I also have to constantly remind myself that I am not a mindless eating machine.
I get it now. I get it. I'm just thinking of dolls biting Barbarella.
Yeah.
And you're actually making this germane. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Those dolls biting Barbarella were just looking for a sandwich that was in her pocket. At least that's what I would be doing if I was one of those dolls.
If you saw her outfit, there were no pockets.
Oh, yeah.
There was not much left to the imagination.
I think I saw that movie, but I think I was also too young, and I barely remember anything about it.
Okay, Duran Duran was this really buff guy with wings who lived in a nest.
Yeah.
Who made out with Jane Fonda. I don't know what that movie was about, but it was not appropriate.
Somewhere online, I bet there's Duran Duran talks about picking that character's name out of that movie and making that their name. But anyway, they are hungry like the wolf, and so am I.
And so is Bruce.
And so are you.
But Bruce really actually loved Finding Nemo. I'll go back to
and he constantly had to say I am not a mindless eating machine. Fish are my friends, and things like that. And we received an email from a listener named Dave. Hello, Dave.
Let's pretend it's Bruce, though.
Oh, yeah. Let's pretend from listener Bruce. It's a coincidence.
Yeah, we're going to change your name, Dave.
Actually, Bruce the
Thanks
Shark.
Thanks for writing, but...
Bruce the Shark actually typed an email and sent it in from the ocean, I guess. But Dave, listener Dave, wrote in. And he said, Catherine has something to say.
I was going to make a joke about sharks and fin-ish lines, but I don't want to disrupt.
There is no fin-ish line.
Fin-ish line.
Yeah, that's why we relate it to sharks. Yeah, that's really good. Dave, I almost called him Bruce. Dave wrote in and he said, hello. I just discovered you thanks to the Lose It app. Well, thank you, Dave. And thank you to the Lose It app. And thank you to all who found us because of the Lose It app and all who found us otherwise.
Yeah.
And Dave says, I've heard 3 shows and I'm hooked. Well, you've obviously got great taste. Hooked like a shark, like a fish. You've obviously got great taste, Dave. He says, congratulations on your journeys of health.
Ooh, that sounds much classier than joint venture.
Yeah.
Join us on our journey of health.
I'm going on a journey of health. Yeah. No, I like that. So he says, I briefly heard you mention different types of eating, such as revenge or secret. That sounds so much like us.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you had an episode or other resource where you name and describe all the different non-hunger based eating. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes.
Like he says thank you.
He says thank you.
And his name is Dave.
Like he signs off. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
And I replied to his email, as I occasionally do.
Yeah.
And I included links to a few episodes that we've sort of done over 300 where we randomly talk about the kinds of eating that there are. But Dave had a great idea. And so we are using that today and in the next episode to talk about sort of the non-hunger based eating patterns.
Yeah, we started to put together this episode and realized that there are a lot of them. And frankly, I have done at various times, all of these things, I'm fairly certain. And so we thought that it would be better to break this up into 2 episodes. So this is part 1 of a thrilling 2-parter.
It is thrilling. It will be thrilling. We're on a thrilling, non-hunger-based journey to health.
Yeah.
I was trying to
we've already talked about wolves and sharks.
Wolves and sharks.
How much more exciting is that?
This is like Apex Predator episode.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yeah, it would.
But before we get started, I know I included a disclaimer at the beginning. But if, we understand that there are serious medical issues around eating disorders, including binge eating, emotional eating. There are lots of different serious topics with serious issues. We are going to give more of an overview of some ways you might not consider you're eating in ways that aren't serving your health goals. But before we get started on this, if you feel like you have a serious issue, please reach out to a medical professional. You can also head over to nationaleatingdisorders.org. That association will help find resources if you or someone that you love has a serious issue. Again, we lead with the chuckles. We are not medical professionals. So as we move forward in this, we are, again, just sort of generally talking about not so helpful things and not serious issues. So I will end the serious portion of this podcast.
Thank goodness.
And head over to the slide whistle
of being serious. But part of the reason that we are doing this, and I think something that people don't talk about enough when they're talking about weight loss and fitness, they talk about, okay, you should eat this, paint by numbers, XYZ, you should do these exercises. But people don't talk about these sorts of non-hunger eating, events that people do enough. And really hearing about them and figuring out what I was doing and figuring out that I was in a lot of ways lying to myself and using these things as a way to trick myself into thinking like I'm doing everything I can. Why can't I lose weight? But I was actually engaging in a lot of these behaviors and eating a lot more than I even consciously thought I was, and also giving myself a lot more excuses to indulge in food than I realized I was. And figuring out that I was doing it and calling it on myself was a great, like, giant leap in me stopping the behaviors.
Yeah, self-understanding and sort of recognizing blind spots that you might have has been, for us, super critical in making permanent changes and being able to correct behavior once it happens. Oftentimes when people feel vulnerable, like this whole weight loss thing is a very vulnerable thing to talk about. And when we approach or people approach us and say, I want help, we point out, well, maybe are you eating at night? No, I don't eat at night. Well, no, I eat really healthily. Well, no, I don't do that. Well, no, I don't do that. And it's more about being a little bit defensive about like, well, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. But when we just focus on the things that we don't do, we often can just dismiss those little things that we do on occasion or frequently that we don't even realize we're doing them.
Yeah, it's like people are like, well, I don't have a sugar problem.
Yeah.
And they don't focus on the fact that they have a chips problem or a grazing problem where they're grabbing handfuls of stuff without really thinking about it and without realizing how much it is.
Yeah, so we're going to break, again, this episode into 2 parts. Donald, I just came up with a list, like some sort of Santa Claus situation of a list.
Yeah.
But Donald actually broke it down into some categories. So we each came up with our own, and then Donald compiled them. Thank you very much for your hard work.
Effort. It is a team effort.
But as we're going through this, our hope is to help you, dear listener, sort of recognize patterns that you might be blind to in yourself. And again, these could be occasional or frequent. So just see what you get mad about. Sometimes that's a really good way. When you feel called out, that might be an area that you're sensitive to. And if it's something you don't have a problem with, thumbs up to you. I'm giving 2 thumbs up like the Fonz right now to you right now in my brain. So Donald, I think, is going to get us.
And for the record, she was actually giving 2 thumbs up on a podcast.
I actually met the Fonz one time. He was amazing, but I'll save that for another episode.
My parents have his autograph. They saw a play that he was in with John Ritter.
Yeah.
Before he passed away. Well, obviously it was before he passed away, and they got him. They got autographs from the cast afterwards. Anyway, that's like a weird aside. The Fonz is awesome. So the first category to watch out for, and this is something that we talk about all the time, which is the all or nothing attitude. And this is, you go on a super restrictive plan, and then when you go off of that plan, you go overboard. And this, a good example of this was me when I would do Atkins back in the day, which is roughly the same thing as keto. I would, cut out all sugar, pasta, bread, grains, and then when I would decide to go off that plan, then I would eat those foods with an absolute vengeance. I was sort of missing them so hard that I could eat nothing other than those foods, and I would gain back way more weight than I had lost.
Well, and I did that too. I mean, and that can be super, restrictive plans, or even something like Weight Watchers, which I invested in that company for years and years because I was either 100% on the plan, or if I stumbled, I would go 100% off. And I think something, that we've talked about recently is how we, in this last time joint venture, we have let go of all or nothing and gone into the adaptive, pivoting, what can I do right now kind of mindset. And it's been critical just letting go of that everything or nothing, because again, the question is, how has that been serving you? So the WOLT message in total is sort of getting away from that all or nothing attitude. And it only took us, 40 years to figure that out. So if we can save you a couple minutes, then we've done our job.
Well, and this is not really on topic for this episode, but getting over your all or nothing attitude is one of my kind of crusades in general. Like, saying to yourself, well, if I can't do my ideal exercise, or I can't eat ideally, then I'm just going to do nothing at all. Like trying to get people over that idea and making people realize, helping people to realize that doing something is always better than doing nothing at all.
Indeed. Nicely done, Donald.
Thank you.
I think that's a really great message. So the next one is, and I know we said we weren't going to talk about, the big emotional eating with a capital E, but we are talking about the joke is like everything's an emotion. Ha 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 ha. Like that's how I see it. But generally, I eat when I'm happy. I eat when I'm sad. It's like the seven dwarves, any sleepy, dopey, whatever, want to eat about it. And we can do happy, celebration, festive eating, angry, stressed, self-soothing food qualities. So generally, we sort of know about emotional eating. But I thought at the beginning of all of this, I heard about binge eating.
Yeah.
I don't binge, so obviously I eat salads, so I don't have a problem. And categorizing that as that all or nothing, I don't binge, so obviously I don't have a problem. It must be my thyroid, wasn't the issue. Realizing that I had issues with self-soothing because I was overworked, or I didn't get the praise that I was hoping for, or I wanted to tell someone what I thought, but I didn't feel like I had the right.
Yeah.
Seeing all of those boundaries that I had around, I'm not going to share what I need, so I'm going to eat about it as a reward, that was really huge for me. Another part of that, and this kind of ties into it, is that revenge eating. Feeling like, I don't get what I want, so I'm going to eat about it. Everybody else, my boss is making me work overtime. My teenager doesn't appreciate me. I'm going to eat about it.
Right.
Donald gets to go to the, football game or whatever, and I've got a toilet work that day. I'm going to eat about it. And seeing it as a reward/punishment to others.
Yeah. It's like
great.
It's like, I'll show you. I'm going to put on a bunch of weight. That'll teach you a lesson.
But there were times definitely when you would be doing really well eating, and I would just be like, well, it must be nice to be you. I'm just going to eat about it and, and prove that I don't have it as good as you, which is really super not helpful.
Well, and you basically said it, but I don't know how many times when I had a hard day or somebody was, a jerk to me, and I would tell myself, I deserve this treat. I just deserve to eat whatever I want right now.
Well, and it ties into that fight, flight, or food sort of thing of I'm really angry. I'm really peeved. There, I'll say it. Peeved.
My goodness.
Irked.
Oh, no.
But when we feel those big rushes of feeling, we want to tamp them down as quickly as possible. And a really great way to release dopamine and good times is by eating something delicious, because it immediately soothes us. And though we're not junkyard dogs being thrown a piece of steak,
right.
We do want that distraction from big feelings, especially when we don't know what to do with them. So whether it is celebration, elation eating, we are not saying that food is fuel. There is a portion of the fitness population that thinks that no emotions should be around food, but food is festive and fun and lovely and delightful.
Yeah, and frankly, or unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I mean, enjoying food is part of the human experience.
Yeah,
and the emotions around it are hard to detach from. But look, I still do this, but I now recognize when I'm doing it, and I realize that I don't deserve, an extra donut because somebody was mean to me. I understand that I have to go in with eyes wide open now if I'm going to do something like that. And it makes it a lot harder for me to sort of justify it internally when I'm I'm just doing this as an excuse to eat something I really want to eat. I'm just using that as an excuse. It's not actually a real thing.
Well, and the more we understand our motivation and the more we take ownership of I really love food. I love it. Once we get to the point where we actively decide how we're going to use food and fit it into our plans, that is where power comes from. Being able to actually enjoy foods that you like. We did an episode called I'm a Carby Girl and a couple of others that focus on working foods that you love into your day in mindful ways. And there are ways to get it done that don't sabotage us. So just pay attention to those impulses that you have, those big feelings that, I have a big feeling and food is going to distract me. I'm going to say it, watch out for it. Watch out.
Someone has to say it. Okay, so moving on to the next category, and Doug also mentions this one in his email
to Dave.
I said Doug. Oh,
you
my
said
goodness.
We're watching Survivor right now, and a guy that just
there is a guy named Doug.
Doug.
We're watching Survivor UK right now.
But if we're distracted right now, I just realized we generally call people WOLT chums. And what do sharks love?
Oh, chum.
Yeah. Uh-oh, you're our chums.
Bruce
Watch
the
out.
shark is definitely into WOLT chums. So Dave, I'm sorry, Dave. Dave asked about secret eating. So secret eating.
This is my favorite.
Which is...
Sorry. It was.
It's classic favorite. Catherine. So this appears in a couple of different forms. And one of them is that you put up a good front in front of other people. You only eat a reasonable portion. You only have a salad in front of people. And then when you're alone, you indulge in all the treats, and you just, you eat all of the things that you're actually craving, to excess while people aren't around and looking. And then the other side of this is that you're sort of embarrassed to eat food in front of people. And I used to be this way.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was so overweight. I didn't want people to actually see me eating anything.
I never see you eat anything.
And people, you're so good. I don't understand. Like, you just are eating, reasonable portions and steamed vegetables in front of us, which is something I would do. And then I would go hide in a supply closet at work and, take food with me and eat it when nobody was looking. Or I would, eat behind the pantry door in the kitchen because I didn't want Catherine to see me doing it.
Well, and a lot of times this comes from feeling judged about what you are eating. Are you eating that? I thought you were on a diet. Should you really? That's a really big blah. And when we feel judged by others, that really leads to the desire to eat in private. I used to go visit family, and I would bring a case of Cliff Bars with me that I could eat, in my room where I was staying, so that they wouldn't see me eating. And then when, I would be like, I'm not really hungry either. Or, I could eat, even though I just ate 300 calories of something. This was a huge one for me. And getting past it, I think we've done episodes on secret eating. I think we actually did an episode called Secret Eating, which is like, I don't
know if we did.
I think we did, because with Dave, I emailed him back and was like, we did actually do one called Secret Eating. It was way back in the beginning.
It's weird that we would just straightforward call it Secret Eating. Yeah, that we didn't call it Agent Provocateur.
Yeah, Secret Eating Man.
Yeah, exactly. That's Secret Eating Man.
But that wanting to hide what you're really eating was just... That honestly was the biggest. I really didn't realize I was doing it, even though I would buy a dozen bagels plus one plus an extra baker's dozen and eat those in private and throw out the remains so that no one knew it. I did that. That was a huge one for me. But I ate salads. I don't know what's wrong with me either.
Yeah, and I remember multiple people telling me, I don't understand why, you can't lose more weight, because I only ever see you eating, steamed vegetables and salads and stuff. And, that was intentional. I wanted to give people that impression because I was ashamed and embarrassed of eating anything else.
Yeah. So the next one, I know I did a lot of talking, but the next one is social eating. And this can go a lot of different ways. There are people who say, I'm great eating by myself when I'm on plan, but when I'm out with others, that's when I really struggle.
Yeah.
There are people who say I'm great in public, but I'm terrible when I'm by myself. So really, there's no one size fits all for this. But that social eating of, maybe your partner or your friends can seem to eat, or your kids, they can eat whatever they want.
Yeah.
They're like, eating half a pizza, a whole pizza.
We all know those people who seem like they can eat anything and never gain an ounce.
Yeah. And that must be nice is fine. But when we think we deserve to be able to eat what they're eating, because it's not fair that I have to watch what I'm eating. When you do that, pound for pound, bite for bite portioning, it doesn't help us. It doesn't matter what's fair, what other people's metabolisms are, what they do in private, in public, or whatever. Focusing on ourselves is really critical. Well, and even more as someone who has some social anxiety.
Yeah.
Hanging out near the buffet table, hanging out near the chips, just the passing of time, having something tactile to do in public. It's awkward to sit eating nothing, doing nothing. It's just sort of this habitual, it's something to do with my hands thing is also a big issue.
Yeah, and hanging out near the food was a way to kind of avoid having to make small talk or, talking in general for me at gatherings, which I would do. Because oftentimes I would get to a gathering and it'd be like, okay, where's the food? How much is there? What is there that I like? And when can I go home?
Right.
Those are my thoughts in that order.
Yeah. I have loved the Super Bowl since I was a child, and it had nothing to do with watching the Super Bowl, but watching the snack table.
Big NFL football fan, but the food is definitely part of the whole thing.
Well, and it would also, in social situations, it's weird if I don't eat what my friend, brings or whatever. There are lots of different ways it presents itself, but it's even worse for people like me who just flippin' love food.
Yeah.
Love it. Love, love, love. Our daughter's like,
Yeah, most of the time, yeah. She's into food, but she's not like we are with food.
No, she is like, no, here. Oh, my ice cream bar melted.
Maybe
Can you
that
take
means
it away?
we're great parents.
I don't think it has anything to do with us.
No, I don't.
But there are some
so.
people who just seem to be able to stop whenever, but not me. Naturally, I've enjoyed it since a very young age.
Yeah, and look, you mentioned it, but there's also that idea of everyone else is having, I was invited out to this dinner, everybody else is eating like a normal entree. It would be awkward if I just ordered, an appetizer and didn't eat like the same as everybody else. And that sort of social anxiety also can be used as an excuse to indulge and go off of whatever plan that you're on.
Well, and then there's what I like to, I think society calls it codependent eating.
Yes, which Catherine and I did to each other for many years.
I call it Ouija board eating.
Oh,
because it's like no one's really making the choice. We're getting an app for the table with the table like bread. Like
you absolve yourself of guilt by tricking yourself into thinking somebody else made the choice for the food option.
And Donald and I enabled hey, do you feel like takeout? Do you feel like ice cream? Do you feel like a glass of wine?
I could probably go for takeout ice cream wine glasses right now.
Do you want to share an app or should we get two?
I mean, I'd like to try a couple, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know what you want, but
exactly.
And if you find your octave going,
we'd order Chinese and we would each get an app that we wanted and we would share those. And then we would usually get 3 different entrees because there was one that was yours, one that was mine, and then there was one we would share.
Ooh, and then the tofu tower, that's full of protein,
tower, right.
Even though it's just fried with a dipping sauce, tofu tower.
And then we would
delicious.
add our
Egg
own
rolls,
individual
maybe?
pints of Ben and Jerry's as our desserts.
I am
sort of talk each other into
quaking right now, wondering. But I ate a salad at lunch. It was just a salad.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Things aren't fair. So with that codependent, neither of us is really making the choice. Neither of us wants to rock the boat, or one of us would drag the other down when Donald was seeing a modicum of success.
Yeah, or
I would want to sabotage him.
I would want to sabotage you too, even if I didn't like openly acknowledge that I wanted to.
Well, and if the other person is overeating, also it gives you permission to secretly be like, oh, I see him. Like, oh, they're not, I'm going to be honest, I've done a little bit of that over the holiday season of, oh, well, it looks like maybe Donald is eating a piece of cheese. Maybe I won't track what I'm about to eat. I'm just going to say it. It's been a rough, like, we're not past all of this. These conditions come back, if not sort of called out. So I was going to say quack, quack. That's my canary, but that's not really
it is a lifelong journey venture that we are on. And, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay, so I think it's time to move on to the next category, which is something that I have dubbed impulse eating, which is basically you weren't planning to eat something, you're not particularly hungry, but you see it or smell it, and then you just grab it. And it's like, oh, that looks good. You open, the refrigerator to get some water, and you happen to see a treat just sitting there, and you reach for it. You walk into the break room at work, and somebody's got homemade treats sitting out on the counter, and you don't think about it. You're just like, oh, that looks good, and you grab it. And kind of another version of this could be that you see like a candy dish, or, you see like a bowl full of nuts somewhere that you weren't, planning on, and you just grab it, that you weren't, that unplanned, like it, and just like spur of the moment, you see it, you grab it and eat it. And this is why like grocery stores put all those candy bars at the checkout.
Well, but too that like, oh, I'm driving by something. I wasn't thinking about
that's another great example,
I wasn't thinking
which I
about
didn't even have. Yeah,
Krispy Kreme, but then they had a flashing sign in the window that says "fresh baked," like right now,
or whatever fast food place that you have a hard time resisting. You're just driving home and like, oh, this is weird. How did I take this route home? I'm driving right past the fast food place that I need to stop at.
Oh, I'm feeling attacked again. Yeah, but it like someone else has something. Oh, it's a random thing it brought in, and just having no standards or policies around those kinds of impulses is really what dragged me down. We just did that episode, 366 Surprises, about just like, oh, well, I didn't know our neighbor was going to bring us the thing, and it's Donut Tuesday, and it's Taco Tuesday, it's Donut Taco Tuesday. I was trying to think of like an acronym for like, I know they have like a
Cronuts?
A cronut, but like, what about like a Daco? Would that be like a donut taco?
Donut taco? You're like taking it to a whole nother level.
Or like a churro. Anyway, I'm kind of grossing myself out.
This is what it's like being married to an evil genius, like who will create items like this.
Well, we were visiting family over the holiday, and Don's sister Melissa. There were points where Donald and I would be like, "Ooh, what if we combined a blah 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 together to make a cronut donut taco?" And Melissa would be like, "Aren't you guys like inspirations or something?" And like, I hear you talk about food a lot.
Look, we only look thin. The show is called We Only Look Thin. Like inside, we're still the people who want to eat all the food.
Yeah. Oh, we also got an email recently. I need to reply. A lovely woman emailed and said that she notices that and I think I do it. I put the emphasis on the wrong part of We Only Look Thin, because it is We Only Look Thin, which Donald was really good, or has been really good about saying, but I don't love saying things correctly, you might notice. So I'm always like, we only look thin. Like, I don't like...
I used to actually capitalize like all caps look when I would write it, and then it seemed to bother you that I did that, so I stopped a long time ago.
Donald is correct. I just have weird tics, I guess. It's like our cat used to make us keep one of the cabinet doors open. Not that she would go in it, but she would just claw at it until it opened, and then we would open it and she would walk away. I'm like that with pronunciation with things. I just put the wrong emphasis.
Yeah, it's like the person who started mispronouncing library on purpose, saying library like years ago, and now they like don't know the difference deep down.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, you're not wrong. We only look thin. Maybe it's just I can't look thin.
Yeah, no.
I don't make it weird, so that's good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not weird. All right, why don't we move on to the next and final category for this episode, Darling of Mine.
Okay.
And you can pronounce it any way that you like.
Darling of Mine.
Of Mine.
So that multitask eating, this is that really big category of mindless grab and go. You're in the middle of doing other things. You walk by the candy dish at work. There's, and you don't even know you're doing it. It's that food that you don't even realize you finished eating.
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't realize I finished the chips because I wasn't paying attention. So I'll just grab another couple of chips because I just want to recognize that I'm finishing it out.
Yeah, and it oftentimes manifests as you're working and you have a treat that you're really looking forward to, and you continue to do your work while you eat it, and then suddenly the treat is gone and you say, I didn't even really get to enjoy that. How did that happen? I guess I better have another one that I can really focus on this time.
Yeah. And that also that eating while you're making dinner, I'm just going to have some cheese and crackers and some wine. And I used to eat hummus and crackers to the tune of 1,000 calories a night. It was hummus, nature's bounty. It's
healthy.
Vegan. It's a superfood.
It's chickpeas. How many calories could there be in it? Turns out all the calories.
Saving the planet. The ozone layer is healing just by me eating
every bite of hummus
stone ground.
Heals a little bit of the ozone.
Stone ground wheat.
Yeah.
It's so natural. But those sort of mindless, I'm making lunch for the kids. I'll just have a couple of chips while I'm doing that. The handful of things, the playing games. This goes into the social eating, playing board games. There's a chip table. There's all the snacks. There's popcorn. We're watching television. And we're just eating as a family out of a bag that's sort of random. Nobody owns the food. It's all just there for everyone. Apparently, I do this also, just that mindless, everybody's doing it. It's social. It's fun.
And for me, this also will oftentimes manifest itself in a slightly different way, which is I will be working on something at work that I find to be, difficult or perhaps tedious, or maybe I just really need to think about it. And I will get up to take a break and walk around and magically find myself in front of a snack.
Yeah.
And then just grab that snack and eat it and sort of use having a little bit of food, unplanned food, as a break from whatever task that I was working on to give myself a little distance from it. And you do that enough and suddenly you're jamming in hundreds, if not, thousands of calories a day that you're not even really thinking about.
Well, and you know what? We're told by Big Candy Bar to give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
Yes.
And Lay's potato chips. No one can eat just one.
Right.
You're right. You're right. I am a victim to it. But when we eat mindlessly, when we use food as a mindless crutch, we forget to track it. I didn't even notice how many did I have? It was just this tiny little bite.
Right.
How could that add up? Everybody else is doing it. Looking at the ways that we eat and the ways that we use food to avoid feelings, to sort of grease the wheels in social situations where we just put things in our mouths and don't even realize it. When we do comparison eating, they get to do it. Why shouldn't I? I'm a grown up. Shouldn't I be able to do this? It's not fair. All of these little aggressions against your health goals happen without even noticing it. And when we say to ourselves, well, I don't have a sugar problem. Well, I don't even drink soda. Well, I'm not a sweets person. Seeing all of the other little ways that we sabotage ourselves, Just recognizing it, recognizing our patterns and interrupting them is the start of change. When we start seeing our actions, when we start being present in the choices that we're making, we can start advocating for ourselves instead of being a victim of circumstance or emotion. Once we train ourselves to recognize the pattern and interrupt it with other things like, I don't know, maybe tell someone how you feel, maybe come up with alternative foods, maybe feel good about it when you proactively decide you're going to eat something and do it in a way that is purposeful and mindful. Once we start pulling out of the I'm a victim of my life and surroundings and stress and start advocating for ourselves and having a little bit of, I can't remember the word. It starts with an A.
Agency?
Agency. Thank you. Man, that was quick. Man, nice job.
Thank you.
Once we start taking agency and see food as like not to fear it, but to see it as a great part of our lives that we can integrate into social situations, solo situations, and enjoy it mindfully, there's no shame in that. It feels really good to be able to eat things that we enjoy without letting it take over our goals. And when we're looking at weight loss and having goals around our joint ventures, knowing that we don't have to live in austerity with all or nothing, knowing that emotional eating is just a habit that can be retrained, recognizing taking agency and boundaries with secret eating. Hey, I'm going to eat this salad and it's the perfect size for me. Thank you, Goldilocks, for your judgment. I appreciate it. Knowing that we can go into social situations and eat in a way that works for us, not against us. Getting away from those impulsive snacks and that multitasking, mindless eating. Looking at small ways to make it possible for ourselves, even in small ways, is really important. Pay attention. What did you feel personally attacked on in this episode?
Yeah, think about, what we've said this week and the things that really resonated with you, the things that maybe you didn't realize you were doing. And then you can look forward to next week. We have a whole nother batch of things that might resonate with you that you might also be doing. And I've done all of these things that we're talking about.
Yeah, this is from personal experience. So, and if you have any other, ways that you eat that we haven't considered, we would love to hear about it. Maybe we'll talk about it on next week's episode. We will see about that. But thank you so much for listening. Pay attention to the way you're eating. And thank you, Dave, for bringing up this amazing, insightful topic.
Yes, very grateful for Dave and his email. And thank you all for listening. We are grateful for each and every one of you. It really does mean a lot to us that you've taken time out of your day to spend some time with us. You can find all of our episodes wherever you found this one. Sorry, I keep saying that, but it's almost all of our episodes. The most recent 300. Now that we've passed 300, the early ones are only available on our website. But they are up there. They are not behind a paywall. But you do have to go to our website to find them, to weonlylookthin.com.
Yep. And if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about WOLT Place. We Only Look Thin Place is a Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan. We won't prescribe any plans to you, but we do have people doing intermittent fasting, macros, Weight Watchers, calorie tracking, lots of different plans. We're not there to judge one another's plans, but we are there to support one another in all of these mindset tools, all of these like ways that we use food to hide from feelings, hide from boundaries. It's super supportive and I'm super proud of it. We do weekly Zoom meetings to talk about issues and we have subgroups to focus on specific areas of interest. So please check us out. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if WOLT Place is right for you. The more honest you are, the more open you are, the more you will get out of the group. So this is a great private place to really work on yourself while you are working on your journey toward health.
Yeah, so please check it out. And you can also interact with us in other ways. You can find us on social media at We Only Look Thin on Instagram and Facebook. Or you can be like Dave and you can send us an email to weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We appreciate episode suggestions. And Dave wasn't even necessarily suggesting we do an episode on this, and we turned it into 2 episodes anyway. So you never know if you write in. We enjoy questions. We enjoy compliments. And you can send all of those things to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and speaking of compliments, if you have a couple of extra minutes and you want to support our podcast, please head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review. We got one from Spain the other day that I saw.
Oh, that's nice. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for doing that. We don't always see all of the international compliments and stars, but we do appreciate them when we see them. And domestically in the US of A, thank you very much for doing that. Not only does it let us know that after 6 years, I think we're on 7 years now.
We have started our 7th year, yes.
Yeah, this is a mom and pop organization.
We are literally a mom and pop, yes.
We are just the two of us doing it all, and it really helps us know that what we're doing is making a difference. We have never missed a week in 7 years, knock on wood.
Yeah.
And we put out the content because we know we are a part of your journey ventures. So thank you so much for spending a little time giving us 5 stars, leave a little review. Thank you very much. We Only Look Thin. Donald's looking at me.
Way to jinx us, by the way.
I know.
Jinx us on the
recording. I don't believe in much.
Yeah.
I do believe in the power of the
jinx, exactly. Also, if you could tell somebody about the show, that really helps us out. Word of mouth is really one of the best ways that the show grows. If you're in a conversation and it seems relevant, you know somebody who might enjoy our shtick and get something out of our weight loss and fitness advice, if you could just give us a shout out, that would be great. Or if you're in an online group, if there are Facebook groups, there are Reddit groups, there are Discord servers about weight loss and fitness. If you are in one of those and you give us a shout out, it really does help the show grow.
Yeah, and I'm not really on those, but Donald is, and I just kind of assume it's the dark web. But like whatever server you're on, just we don't care. Just
I go on there for weight loss and fitness advice, to give people weight loss and fitness advice, and also to buy illegal weapons.
Or just like chat to people on your Disney card app fun game thing.
Yeah, it's true. I do. I'd like to talk to people about that a lot.
Yeah, we're pretty menacing. So if you're not sure what is more troubling, that we discussed Jane Fonda being bitten by razor sharp doll teeth, or Nemo being bitten by shark teeth, just remember that Donald and I and Dave are an inspiration. I don't really like Duran Duran, by the way.
What?
I don't.
I'm cutting that out of the episode.
No, keep it in.
I do not want people to know that. No, we'll lose all our listeners.
I need to be authentic.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.